All right, today we're jumping into a fascinating analysis of a character named Matthew. His very existence completely upends everything we think we know about power, about control, and maybe even about human potential itself. Let's get into it.
So, picture this, the world's most powerful institutions, the ones with plans for every disaster you can imagine. They had binders and protocols for nuclear war, for plagues, for AI taking over, for everything. But they had absolutely nothing in the playbook for one person, a person who didn't fit any of their models and whose very presence just broke the game.
So what was it about him? What made him so different? Well, it wasn't about what he did, it was about what he was. And that's our first big idea here. A whole new kind of power, a force that doesn't play by the rules, because it doesn't even know the rules exist. The source material gives it a name, power by being. This isn't the kind of power you get from a title or from money or from an army. That stuff requires you to do something. This is different. It's inherent. It's the ability to change reality just by being there, without trying, without even thinking about it. You know, it's less like a punch and more like gravity. It's just on.
And here's where it gets absolutely wild. All of that chaos, the entire system being thrown into a panic, that was caused by Matthew operating at just 2% of his capacity. 2%! It was basically the equivalent of him just breathing in and out, a tiny fraction of who he was, and it was enough to shatter their entire reality.
So here you can really see the clash. On one side, you've got Matthew's power. It's natural, it's effortless, you can't contain it. And on the other side, you have institutional power. It's engineered, it needs tons of resources, and it completely depends on rules and protocols. One is basically a force of nature, and the other is a carefully built machine. So let's see what happens when the hurricane finally meets the machine.
So how does a rigid system handle something it can't classify? Something it can't put in a box? Well, its first move is always to try and control it. But what happens when that just completely and utterly fails?
They threw their best people at him, and every single expert walked away broken. The psychologists? They quit, said his mind was tapping into dimensions humans just aren't supposed to go. The physicists? They were undone, watching him bend the fundamental laws of science like they were suggestions. Biologists were whispering that his DNA was basically a violation of everything they knew. And the final straw? The most elite combat instructor on the planet watched him for 10 minutes and just quit, saying, "We can't counter this. Game over."
But out of all the reactions, the most telling, the most important one, came from a high-ranking officer. Looking at this person who could rewrite reality, he didn't say what he was doing was impossible. No, he said it was illegal. And that one word, right there, it tells you everything you need to know about the system's real fear.
And here's why that's so critical. See, calling something impossible means you accept that reality is bigger than you are. But calling it illegal, that's you trying to force your rules onto reality itself. It shows that the real crime in their eyes wasn't breaking the laws of physics. It was existing without their permission.
And their attempts to grab back control were honestly kind of pathetic. They invented new security clearances higher than top secret, which the text calls panic disguised as bureaucracy. They tried to recruit him 3 different times, getting more desperate each time. He just walked away, and the final nail in the coffin was a simple memo from the Joint Chiefs of Staff that said it all. There's no contingency for this.
Okay, so this is where the whole thing pivots. What if Matthew wasn't a mistake, not a glitch in the matrix? The analysis suggests he's actually something much, much bigger. He's not an anomaly, he's an awakening. The way this story reframes it is brilliant. He's not the problem. He's the proof that the problem exists somewhere else. He is, and I love this quote, the error in their code that proves the entire program was flawed. His existence showed that the whole system was built on a lie about what humans were capable of.
Yeah, he's not some product they can understand or replicate. He's something way more primal. The source calls him nature's flex, the universe showing off, a reminder that evolution doesn't ask for permission. He's like a force of nature, an evolutionary leap that just happens, whether you're ready for it or not.
And this next metaphor is huge, because this is where it stops being about one guy and starts being about all of us. He is the first visible crack in a dam that has been holding back human potential for centuries. See? His story isn't just about him anymore. It's about a possibility for everyone. He's just the first sign that the dam is about to give way.
And that leads to this absolutely chilling conclusion.
The system spent trillions of dollars trying to build in a lab what he was just born with. So his natural, effortless existence meant their entire world, their hierarchies, their control, it was all obsolete. Because, as the text puts it so perfectly, what was breathing to you was extinction to them.
Now, the analysis doesn't just end with Matthew's story. In its final part, it does something really interesting. It takes everything we've learned from him and turns it into a set of principles. It goes from being a story to being a manifesto.
And it's very clear about this shift. The idea is that Matthew isn't alone. He's just the first one to be seen. His story is now a kind of instruction manual for what the text calls the quiet ones, other people who feel that same potential inside them but have been told to dim their light to fit in.
And here they are, the core ideas of this new philosophy. Every single one is a direct shot at the old system. Truth over protocol, that throws out that illegal label we talked about. Service over rank, says what you can do matters more than your title. Non-predatory power and covenant over contract. It's a code about responsibility and integrity, not dominance and control. It's a whole new way to think about power.
So, in the end, this whole deep dive really comes down to one big question. And it's not just for the characters in the story, it's for us. It asks us to think about how much we shrink ourselves to fit into systems that might be broken anyway. It leaves us with this one thought to chew on. What happens when we stop dimming our light to fit a failing frame?